Welcome back to my vlog. Today I want to share about one of the greatest challenges of being a wheelchair user, and that's dealing with pressure wounds and skin breakdown. Before I talk about what these are, I want to remind you that yes, I do love my life. I'm thankful that my accident happened all those years ago, and I'm so blessed to live the life that I get to live each and every day. But there are some definite challenges with having a spinal cord injury, and taking care of my skin is one of them. So, what is a pressure wound? A great definition comes from Mayo Clinic, and I'll include this link in the caption of this video. The article says bed sores, also called pressure ulcers and decubitus ulcers, are injuries to skin and underlying tissue resulting from prolonged pressure on the skin. They most often develop on skin that covers bony areas of the body, such as heels, ankles, hips, and tailbone. People most at risk of bed sores have medical conditions that limit their ability to change positions or cause them to spend most of their time in a bed or chair. So these skin wounds are a result of prolonged pressure on the skin without much change in position. It can start out just as an abrasion, but it can get worse very quickly if they are not treated, resulting in bone and joint infections, cellulitis, cancer, and even sepsis, which can be life-threatening. Christopher Reeves, the famous actor and activist, was a C1 quadriplegic who actually died from complications from an infection that was caused by a pressure wound. So as you can imagine, for me and my other friends who have had spinal cord injuries, we are always on the lookout for signs of a wound, as we know how dangerous they can be and how quickly they can get out of control. Because we have paralysis in many parts of our bodies, we don't feel these sores developing. So we need to do daily skin checks either on ourselves or have our caregivers and loved ones help us check our skin for any redness, signs of pressure, or skin breakdown. Now, I've been in a wheelchair for over 25 years, and in that time, I have been hospitalized twice for pressure wounds. One was at the end of my first book, and once was in 2004. Hospitalizations for bad skin wounds can last at least a month or sometimes longer. So outside of the two hospitalizations, I've had multiple skin wounds, but thankfully I've been able to heal them without extensive medical care. Luckily, I have not had any wounds for about 80% of my time in a wheelchair. So yes, these skin wounds are very serious, but I don't want to scare you or for you to think that it's something I struggle with every single day of my life. But between the end of 2021 and today, I have had 5 pressure wounds. The reason I've had so many recently is because I got a new backrest for my scoliosis in October of 2021. Because the backrest I had before was no longer working for the worsening of my scoliosis. So my backrest is custom made, but there were some issues with the fitting of the new backrest that caused multiple skin wounds in the last year and a half. For many months, we've had to go back to get it tweaked because it's definitely kind of a game with this backrest. When you relieve the pressure in one spot, it sometimes causes new pressure in a different spot. But thankfully, we now have it all figured out. So the treatment for pressure wounds first involves removing pressure from the affected area, which is why the first step we took was to make adjustments to my backrest. This includes a test known as pressure mapping to identify which parts of my wheelchair are causing the pressure on my body. In pressure mapping, a mat is slid between me and my cushion, my seat cushion, and then the medical team can identify which parts of my chair are causing more pressure on my body. I can then have my chair adjusted to alleviate that pressure. I'll share a link to a video showing this in the caption of this video. Although in my case, compared to this video, I don't have to get out of my wheelchair. They can just slide the mat in. But technology is so cool. So to help alleviate pressure, every day I set alarms on my phone to remind myself to tilt my wheelchair back for 5 minutes every hour to make sure I'm taking pressure off of my skin. Paraplegics can lift themselves up to get off their skin and move themselves around, so they're not sitting in the same position every day. But as a quadriplegic, I'm not strong enough to lift myself up. So that's why, up until a couple months ago, I've never really tilted in my chair to relieve pressure. But this is something I just started doing recently since I got this new backrest and started experiencing pressure issues. But once a wound develops, it needs to be treated by cleaning twice a day, sometimes including gauze and special salve. But my doctors keep a close eye on how things are progressing, so I've been going back and forth to Rochester for medical supervision backrest adjustments, and a special wound treatment called ultrasonic mist therapy. This treatment has really helped a lot in my healing. Now, unfortunately, my insurance doesn't cover any of my wound supplies, so I've had to pay for everything out of pocket. There are more in-depth treatments that can be taken, such as skin grafts, bed rest, and taking antibiotics. Over the years, I had to undergo all these treatments for various pressure wounds, and I've also had to have surgery twice. The surgery that they do to fix wounds that will not heal on their own is called a flap reconstruction, where the skin is stretched and sewn over the wound. Another thing that can be done to help heal a wound is eating lots of protein. So I've been on a high protein diet for the last 2 months, starting at 105 grams per day, and now I'm at 120 grams per day, which I'm getting through eating meals of meat as well as protein drinks. And Fairlife and Premier Protein are my favorite drinks. With last year being so challenging for pressure wounds, I've learned to be extra careful. I've also learned to focus on what I can and can't control. I can't control how quickly a pressure wound will heal, but I can do things to help, such as taking days off and taking it easy. At the end of last year, I spent a few Saturdays in bed to relieve the pressure on my sacrum, where the most recent pressure wound had developed. Thankfully, at the end of recording this video, they have all been manageable and they are all healed, with just one that's in the final stages, but everything is good. So I hope this answered some of your questions about pressure wounds and provided another look into my life as a person with a spinal cord injury. If you are newly injured, I hope this provides some insight into what you can do to prevent wounds from forming and to help you realize how seriously you need to take this. There are a lot of other treatments available that you can look into. Medical technology has come so far, and I'm so thankful that we have these treatments available to us. So what other questions do you have on this topic? Leave me a comment below, and I'll do my best to get back to you. See you next time.